Hey everyone, Dr. Eric here, your fitness physician here from Dr. Eric Primex, and your peptide doc, continuing on my series about growth hormone peptides. So this one I'm going to talk about the GHRPs, or the growth hormone releasing peptides. These work synergistically with the GHRHs to facilitate release of the growth hormone. The GHRPs basically increase that pulse of growth hormone that you get in. It basically inhibits a molecule called somatostatin. Somatostatin is kind of like the brake. It's the inhibitory chemical in the brain. It prevents your pituitary gland from releasing growth hormone. So the GHRP binds and basically increases the excitability of the neuron or the nerve cell in the pituitary gland to increase that pulse of growth hormone, and it helps facilitate that, makes the GHRH work better. It basically diminishes the inhibitory input, so it's a double negative, right? So it prevents the inhibitory effect and allows more growth hormone to be released. So they work together hand in hand. I might try to put a couple quick diagrams, shoot quick videos showing that little pattern for those of you who are interested in the science of that and showing how that works. GHRP is basically like a ghrelin-like molecule. Ghrelin is a molecule, a peptide, a protein molecule that our own body naturally makes. It's the one that makes us hungry when you're fasting or when you haven't eaten for a while and your stomach's starting to grumble. That's ghrelin. It's kicking in. It's telling your body, hey, it's time to eat. I need some fuel here. So the GHRPs are very much ghrelin-like. They act in a similar fashion. I won't get into too much of the science here today, but they act in a similar fashion. Ghrelin is actually produced in other organs like the heart, the lung, lymphatic tissue, the thyroid gland, many other tissues, and they have effects on other tissues as well. Similar to the GHRHs, there's receptors elsewhere. So the GHRP, they have influences also like the growth hormone and GHRHs in cytoprotection and tissue growth and tissue healing. They're very anti-inflammatory. They help with inflammation, help with boosting your immunity. There's benefits to tissue, cardiac tissue, GI effects in your brain, your kidneys. Helps with arthritis, and it can help improve bone mineral density, helps with neuromuscular functioning as well. And basically, ghrelin has many other actions. I talked about its effect on your appetite, but it's also involved in carbohydrate metabolism and other organs such as your heart and your kidneys, pancreas, and again with cell proliferation and differentiation. It's a very important thing to have, but you want to have that in check and balance. That's why I said you have to do this in a very certain way. Basically, the GHRPs, you do have to be careful of overstimulation. You don't want to desensitize the sense, so you have to use a set dose and do not go above and beyond that dose on a regular basis. But the benefits, again, are multifactorial, benefiting many tissues. It can help with muscle repair, similar to IGF and the GHRHs, anti-inflammatory. There are some anti-cancer effects. There's been a lot of studies showing benefits with COPD, cardiovascular disease, and people with chronic respiratory issues as well. And sometimes ghrelin, some of the stronger GHRPs are used with people with cachexia or people who are starving, whether they're wasting weight, they're getting a very advanced muscle wasting. They can actually boost that appetite so they can eat and actually be healthy again. So ghrelin has a lot of effects, and as do the GHRPs in the brain. And used appropriately, they're actually antidepressive, anti-anxiety, and protective of stress. Similar to adaptogens, they can be very protective neurologically as well. So in terms of the GHRPs, there's multiple. I'm going to go from the strongest and down to the mildest and the best. Hexarelin was one of the strongest in the originals, but you can get desensitized. It can have some side effects because of it. It will get a spike in prolactin and cortisol. GHRP2 is the next strongest one, and GHRP6 is used as well. Again, these both also increase ghrelin, cortisol, and prolactin. The GHRP6 can be used again for those cachectic states as it really boosts and makes you hungry. So for those cases, you have someone who's in a metabolic issue and they really need to eat, this is a good one. The mildest and the best and the most stable and the most potent and safe is ipamorelin. And I use this one all the time, especially with the GHRHs. It doesn't create a spike in prolactin or cortisol. And again, if used appropriately, there's no desensitization. It's a very stable form. Again, it suppresses that somatostatin. And it doesn't affect aldosterone, prolactin, or cortisol. So, and again, it makes IGF levels therapeutic. It does not make them super physiological unless you're doing excessive dosing or using it with excessive doses of GHRHs. But again, keeps it physiologic, and it doesn't really promote the hunger like the ghrelin or like GHRP6 does. But it can definitely help with bone growth and muscle repair and tissue repair and all these other things we've been talking about. The dose is typically 100 micrograms. You can use it up to 3 times a day. But typically I'll combine the CJC and the ipamorelin and do 100 micrograms of each at night. That's a good place to start. If we're looking at fat loss, we'll start dosing it twice a day or even 3 times a day in a very specific fashion. But again, you have to be careful of how you do this. Another tip with nutrition is very important. You don't want to eat and then do your peptides or vice versa. Amino acids and protein you can eat anytime and then inject your peptides or vice versa, but fats and carbohydrates, you want to wait about an hour and a half or 2 hours if you've eaten. Now, if you're doing it fast in the morning, you do your injection, go do some fasted cardio, do whatever, and wait at least a half hour, preferably an hour before you eat. But if you've eaten something first, say in the evening, wait at least a couple hours if you've eaten fats or carbohydrates to inject. Otherwise, it's going to negate the effects, mainly because of insulin. So that's a quick tip. That's an easy thing to do because most of us are trying not to eat at night anyway, at least the first couple hours in the morning. A lot of us are doing some intermittent fasting or delaying, doing some fasted cardio or doing some lifting, so that's totally fine too. Like I said, fats in the bloodstream, they're anti-catabolic. It kind of defeats the purpose. So if you're doing these injections in the morning, you're taking advantage of that cortisol surge, and you're going to increase lipolysis because of that. Especially if you get up and you're fasted, you had a little bit of maybe some green tea or a little bit of coffee, get that lipolysis going, and you're going to be stoking the fat burning engine, so to speak. So these can be dosed in a specific way throughout, up to 2 to 3 times a day. Now, these can also be used post-workout for anabolism as well if you're doing it after your workout. And I'll get into that in some future videos, and as well as for tissue repair. You can dose it throughout the day, but you don't want to go more than 3 to 4 doses a day. But again, most people just start with once at night, and then maybe if they're doing for fat burning, maybe a dose in the morning and maybe a second one later on. Again, because of these dosing, you're taking advantage of the healing power. It's great for healing and tissue repair. And again, like I said, you want to space these out about 3 hours if you're doing multiple doses. Basically, because these pulses in growth hormone, you don't get another pulse inside that 3-hour window. 2.5 to 3 hours. If you inject it in that time frame, it's not going to do anything. So you're wasting it. So basically, lasting up to 30 minutes to 2 hours, it doesn't matter. If you're fasting all day, basically just do your dose. Do your workouts, and then go ahead and eat, whenever that is, whenever you're done with your workout. And if you want to do it, maybe do 3.5 hours later, do your another dose, and then do your evening dose. That's an easy way to do it. So again, strongest to weakest, hexarelin, GHRP, GHRP2, 6 and 2. I'm sorry, 2 and 6, and then ipamorelin. So those are GHRPs. I've got some cool charts and some other things to show you guys on how to combine these in a cool fashion, but these are fantastic for having many functions and uses and having great success with them. So message me for questions. Let's spike your vitality, guys. Keep everybody living stronger, healthier. Reach out to me for any questions, and everybody have a great day.